Long before sailors mapped the oceans and before kings claimed the shores, people spoke in hushed voices about the mysterious beings known as mermaids. These creatures were said to live between two worlds, neither fully human nor entirely spirit of the sea. Their upper bodies resembled beautiful women with flowing hair that shimmered like moonlit waves, while their lower forms ended in powerful tails covered with scales that glowed in shades of emerald, sapphire, and silver. According to ancient legends, mermaids were born from the breath of the ocean itself. Some stories claim they were daughters of the sea gods, guardians of coral palaces and underwater kingdoms. Others believed they were the transformed souls of those who had once loved the sea too deeply to leave it behind. In the depths beneath crashing waves, they built cities among coral forests and pearl-lit caverns where sunlight filtered through water like liquid gold. These beings were not merely creatures of beauty. They embodied the mysterious nature of the sea, calm and nurturing one moment, terrifying and destructive the next. Sailors often described hearing strange songs carried across the water at twilight. The melodies were haunting, powerful, and irresistible. Some believed the songs guided lost ships safely to shore, while others whispered that they lured sailors toward hidden rocks where the sea would claim them forever. The truth of mermaids was never simple. In some legends, they were protectors of the ocean's balance, watching over fish, whales, and reefs. In others, they were tricksters, curious about the world of humans and drawn to the fragile lives that flickered briefly above the waves. What all stories agreed upon was this: mermaids were ancient, older than kingdoms, older than ships, perhaps as old as the sea itself. And those who heard their songs knew that the ocean was not empty. It was alive, watching, remembering, and whispering through the voices of its daughters. The most famous power of mermaids was their voice. Their songs were said to carry across miles of open water, slipping between the winds and waves until they reached the ears of sailors drifting under the night sky. These melodies were unlike anything humans could create. They were both sorrowful and beautiful, echoing with the rhythm of tides and the ancient heartbeat of the ocean itself. Many sailors believed the songs were messages from spirits beneath the sea. When the ocean was calm and the stars reflected upon the water, the voices of mermaids could be heard rising from the depths. Some captains considered it a blessing, believing the mermaids were guiding their ships safely through dangerous waters. Others, however, feared the songs deeply. Stories spread through every harbor of ships that had vanished after hearing those haunting melodies. Sailors spoke of men who abandoned the wheel of their vessel, walking as if enchanted toward the edge of the deck. They claimed the music filled the mind with visions, golden shores, lost loves, and promises of eternal peace beneath the sea. Yet not all mermaid songs were meant to deceive. In many traditions, they were guardians of the ocean's balance, warning sailors when storms approached or when hidden reefs threatened to tear ships apart. Fishermen sometimes left offerings of shells, flowers, or polished glass in gratitude, believing the mermaids protected those who respected the sea. Still, the line between guidance and danger was thin. The ocean itself is unpredictable, and so were its daughters. A sailor who heard their voice could never know whether the song would lead him safely home or pull him toward the silent depths. And so, through generations, sailors repeated a single warning: when the sea begins to sing, listen carefully, because the voice may belong to a mermaid watching from beneath the waves, beneath the restless surface of the oceans, far below the reach of sunlight and the noise of human ships. Legends say the mermaids built vast underwater kingdoms. These realms were not crude shelters, but magnificent cities shaped by time, currents, and living coral. Towers of white shell spiraled upward like frozen waves, while bridges of polished stone stretched across glowing gardens of seaweed and anemones. Pearls shimmered like lanterns in the deep, lighting streets where schools of silver fish moved like living clouds. In these hidden kingdoms, mermaids lived as guardians of the ocean's delicate balance. They watched over coral reefs, protected migrating whales, and guided great shoals of fish through safe passages of the sea. To them, the ocean was not merely water. It was a living world filled with countless fragile lives that depended on harmony. The oldest mermaids, those whose memories stretched back centuries, were known as the keepers of the tides. They understood the language of currents and the rhythm of storms. With quiet authority, they taught the younger generations when to sing, when to hide, and when to intervene in the affairs of the surface world. Sometimes ships passed above their cities without the sailors ever realizing how close they were to an entire civilization beneath the waves. Mermaids often watched these vessels with curiosity. Humans fascinated them. Their brief lives, their constant struggles, their strange desire to cross an ocean that did not truly belong to them. Yet the mermaids rarely revealed themselves openly. The sea protected its secrets well. Only rarely would a curious mermaid swim near the surface, her hair drifting like seagrass in the current, observing the world of wind and sky. For in the deep kingdoms below, the mermaids understood a truth older than any human legend. The ocean holds many wonders, but it also demands respect. Those who honored the sea might find protection beneath its waves. Those who ignored its power would soon learn how unforgiving it could be. Throughout history, countless sailors claimed they had seen mermaids rising from the water beside their ships. Some encounters happened in moments of calm, when the ocean lay smooth as glass and the horizon seemed endless. A flash of silver beneath the waves, a figure resting on a distant rock, or long hair glimmering in the moonlight. Such sights were enough to convince many that the legends were true. For sailors who spent months surrounded by nothing but wind and water, the appearance of a mermaid felt like witnessing a miracle. Some believed it was a blessing from the sea itself. Fishermen in particular told stories of mermaids guiding their boats toward rich waters filled with fish. After such encounters, nets returned heavy and voyages ended safely. Yet other meetings were far more unsettling. There were tales of silent figures watching ships from the darkness beneath the waves, their pale faces barely visible in the moonlight. Sailors sometimes woke at night to hear faint singing carried across the water, only to see ripples forming around their vessel as if something circled beneath it. Not every mermaid wished harm upon humans, but neither were they entirely friendly. They belonged to the sea, not the world above it. Curiosity often drew them close to ships, but distrust kept them distant. Humans, after all, were strange creatures, capable of both wonder and destruction. Some of the oldest maritime traditions warned sailors never to mock or insult the sea when a mermaid appeared. Throwing stones or shouting at the mysterious figures was believed to anger the ocean itself. Storms could rise quickly afterward, as if the waves had taken offense. And so experienced sailors followed a quiet rule passed down through generations. If a mermaid revealed herself beside your ship, do not chase her, do not fear her, and above all, do not anger the sea that she calls home. Although mermaids belong to the deep oceans, many legends say they were endlessly fascinated by the world above the waves. The surface was a strange and luminous place to them, a realm of sunlight, wind, clouds, and stars that moved across the sky like silent ships of light. While the depths were calm, ancient, and eternal, the surface was constantly changing. Young mermaids often swam upward at dawn or twilight when the ocean glowed with shifting colors. From beneath the water, they watched ships pass like floating islands, their sails catching the wind and their wooden hulls groaning against the waves. To the mermaids, humans seemed fragile and temporary, yet strangely determined to travel across a realm that could swallow them without warning. Some mermaids would hide among rocks near the shore, observing fishermen repairing their nets or children playing along the sand. They listened to human voices carried through the water, trying to understand the strange language of those who walked on land. The warmth of sunlight upon the surface fascinated them, as did the sounds of birds that soared freely above the sea. Yet the boundary between the two worlds was delicate. The elders of the mermaid kingdoms warned the younger ones not to become too attached to the human realm. The surface world moved quickly, driven by ambition and fleeting desires, while the sea followed older rhythms that could not be rushed. Still, curiosity remained powerful. Occasionally, a mermaid would rise high enough for a sailor to glimpse her silhouette against the horizon. These brief appearances became the source of countless legends, stories of mysterious women sitting upon rocks, combing their long hair while watching ships from afar. For the mermaids, such moments were simply quiet observations of another world. But for humans, they became unforgettable encounters with creatures who seemed to belong both to dreams and to the endless sea itself. Among the most powerful roles attributed to mermaids in ancient lore was their connection to storms. Sailors believed that the daughters of the sea could sense disturbances in the deep, long before humans noticed the changing sky. When powerful currents shifted and distant winds gathered strength, mermaids were often the first to feel the ocean's warning. In some traditions, mermaids were known as the storm singers. Their voices, carried through the water, could calm turbulent currents or summon waves strong enough to shatter ships. The songs they sang during storms were said to echo with immense power, deep, resonant melodies that blended with the roar of wind and thunder. Some sailors believed these songs were acts of protection. A mermaid who favored a particular vessel might guide it away from dangerous waters, leading it towards safer currents before the storm fully arrived. Captains who respected the sea sometimes claimed that faint singing helped them choose the right course during violent weather. But not every storm brought mercy. When humans polluted the waters, slaughtered sea creatures without balance, or showed arrogance toward the ocean, the mermaid songs were said to change. Instead of guiding ships away from danger, the voices would grow darker, blending with the howling wind. Waves would rise higher, currents would twist unpredictably, and the sea would reclaim those who had forgotten its power. Whether these stories were truth or superstition, one belief endured across generations of sailors: the ocean listens. And when storms rise from the horizon and the waves begin to sing, it may not only be the wind that calls across the water, but the voices of mermaids shaping the fate of those who travel upon their ancient realm. Among the many legends about mermaids, none were more tragic or more beautiful than the stories of love between mermaids and humans. The ocean separated their worlds so completely that such connections seemed impossible. Yet countless tales whispered that sometimes the barrier between land and sea could be crossed. One ancient story told of a young mermaid who often watched a lone sailor traveling along the same stretch of ocean. From beneath the waves, she observed his quiet patience, the way he spoke gently to the sea and thanked it after every successful catch. Unlike many sailors, he never cursed the storms or mocked the waters. Instead, he treated the ocean as a living presence deserving respect. Curiosity slowly grew into fascination. Night after night, the mermaid listened to the sailor sing, while guiding his small vessel beneath the stars. His voice was imperfect compared to the flawless melodies of the sea, yet it carried a warmth and sincerity that touched her deeply. At last, she revealed herself, rising from the water beside his boat in the pale glow of moonlight. The sailor stared in silent amazement, unsure whether he was witnessing a miracle or a dream. Yet instead of fear, he greeted her with calm wonder. Their meetings became secret and rare, bound by the fragile distance between land and sea. The mermaid could never remain long above the surface, and the sailor could never survive beneath the waves. Still, for brief moments they shared stories of their different worlds, the endless sky above and the vast kingdoms below. But such love could never escape its limits. The ocean demanded that the mermaid return to the depths, and the sailor belonged to the world of air and sunlight. Their meetings faded into memory, leaving behind only a bittersweet legend that even the boundaries of nature cannot fully silence the longing of two hearts drawn together by the mysterious pull of the sea. Not all mermaid legends spoke of beauty or compassion. In some darker traditions, the daughters of the sea were far more dangerous than sailors wished to believe. Beneath the tranquil surface of the ocean lived creatures whose patience and cunning rivaled the deep itself. These stories told of mermaids who had grown resentful toward humanity. For centuries, they had watched ships spread across the oceans, nets emptying the waters of fish and anchors tearing through fragile coral gardens. To such mermaids, humans were not curious visitors, but reckless invaders disturbing the ancient harmony of the sea. In these tales, the mermaids' famous songs were no longer gentle melodies, but calculated traps. Their voices carried across the waves with haunting beauty, drawing sailors closer to hidden reefs and jagged rocks. Enchanted by the music, men abandoned caution and followed the sound until their ships were shattered against the coast. Some legends describe sailors glimpsing pale faces just beneath the water as their vessels sank. Long hair drifted in the currents while cold eyes watched silently from the depths. These mermaids did not celebrate destruction. They simply observed it with the calm indifference of the ocean itself. To them, the sea was older than humanity and would remain long after human kingdoms vanished. If ships were lost and sailors disappeared beneath the waves, it was merely the ocean reclaiming what had intruded upon its realm. Such stories spread fear through maritime communities, reminding sailors that the ocean's daughters were not always benevolent guardians. Like the sea they served, mermaids could be generous or merciless, calm or destructive. And so, every sailor learned the same uneasy truth. Beneath the beauty of the waves, there may always be unseen eyes watching, waiting, and judging those who dare cross the ancient waters. Far below the shifting tides and restless storms, where sunlight fades into deep blue silence, mermaids were believed to guard something far greater than coral kingdoms or hidden treasures. According to the oldest legends, they were the keepers of memory, living witnesses to the endless history of the ocean. While human civilizations rose and fell upon the shores, the sea remained constant. Empires built mighty fleets only to see their ships vanish beneath the waves. Cities once proud and bright eventually sank into ruin along drowned coastlines. Yet the mermaids endured through every passing age, watching silently as the world above changed again and again. In their deep underwater halls, stories were preserved not in books or carved stone, but in song. Each melody carried fragments of the past, the fall of forgotten kingdoms, the first voyages across unknown oceans, the terrible storms that swallowed entire armadas. The eldest mermaids remembered centuries of these songs, passing them to younger generations so that nothing the sea had witnessed would ever truly disappear. Some legends even claimed that mermaids knew the location of countless lost ships resting on the ocean floor. Ancient treasures, sunken cities, and relics of vanished cultures lay scattered across the seabed like silent monuments to history. Yet the mermaids guarded these secrets carefully, believing that the ocean itself had claimed them for a reason. Occasionally, a diver or explorer might glimpse a mysterious figure watching from the shadows of a wreck, her long hair drifting in the current like strands of dark seaweed. Whether she was protecting the site or merely observing the curious intruder was impossible to know. For the mermaids understood something humans often forgot. The ocean remembers everything. Every voyage, every storm, every life lost at sea becomes part of its endless story. And deep within that vast memory, the Daughters of the Sea continue to sing the chronicles of a world that few humans will ever truly see. Even in the modern world of satellites, deep-sea submarines, and detailed ocean maps, the legend of mermaids has never completely disappeared. Sailors, fishermen, and explorers still share strange stories of shapes moving beneath the waves, or distant voices carried across the water at night. Some believe these stories are simply the result of imagination, loneliness, or misidentified sea animals glimpsed in difficult conditions. Others argue that the ocean remains so vast and mysterious that many forms of life may still remain undiscovered. After all, large regions of the deep sea have never been explored in detail, and new species continue to appear in scientific records every year. For those who love the mythology of the sea, mermaids represent something deeper than physical creatures. They symbolize the mystery of the oceans themselves, beautiful, powerful, and impossible to fully understand. The sea has always inspired both wonder and fear, and the image of mermaids captures that dual nature perfectly. They are the voices of waves whispering along distant shores, the shimmering reflections seen at sunset across calm waters, the sense that something ancient and intelligent might be watching from the depths below. Whether real beings or powerful symbols, mermaids remind humanity that the ocean is not merely empty water, but a living world filled with secret. Perhaps that is why their legends endure through every generation. As long as ships sail across open oceans and humans continue to stare out over the horizon, the stories will remain. Somewhere beneath the endless waves, people will imagine a pair of watchful eyes and the faint echo of a haunting song drifting through the water. And so the mystery continues. The ocean keeps its secrets well, and among those secrets, the legend of mermaids still swims through the imagination of the world, timeless, enchanting, and forever just beyond the reach of certainty. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, and share your impressions of the video.